Now I'm going to share this as soon as we go live, right?
Yeah. Let me just. Okay. It says I'm good to go. Hi, everybody. It's Dan Cerrucci. I'm sorry we got off to a little slow start. We were just checking everything here. I'm with Paul Kanitra. Did I say your name right, Paul? Paul Kanitra?
Half my family says Kanitra, the other half says Kanitra, so whatever you say is right.
You mean nobody says Kanitra?
No one says Kanitra.
And we're with Mayor Paul Kanitra from Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey. And Paul, I just want to check one thing and make sure we're on Facebook so that you can share it with your the many fans that you have. I mean, ever since I announced that you were going to be um, that I was going to be interviewing you tonight at 9 o'clock. I mean, um, it's been everywhere. I don't see it yet on Facebook. I mean, people
I
have
don't see
been.
it on your page. I don't see it on your page yet.
I don't see it either yet. Oh boy, I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm looking for it. Um, mm, 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 mm. This should. It's supposed to be there. Let's see if it's on Twitter. And let's check on Twitter. Okay, it is on Twitter. It is.
Okay. All
We
right.
are on Twitter. We are on Twitter, and let's see if we're on Facebook. I have to try again to look on Facebook.
All right. I'm looking at myself on Twitter. I definitely see that.
Okay. I have to try again to look on Facebook. No, I don't see it on Facebook yet. I do see it on Twitter, but I don't see it on Facebook yet. And I'm sorry that we're having this. We seem to be having this problem
No
because
worries at all. Take as much time as you need.
go live. Now it says you are live on
All
Facebook.
right.
Do you see it?
Let's see. I still don't see it on Facebook, but I can try and share the link with my people here and see. Let's see if we get anybody here.
It's live on Facebook now. It's on there.
Okay.
It's on Facebook. Okay, so we're going to try this again. This is Dan Cerrucci. We're just 3 minutes into this. I'm sorry, everybody. But if you're just tuning in on Facebook, we're live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. I'm going to put this later on my LinkedIn page. It's going to be on my YouTube channel. And you'll all be able to see it at dancerrucci.com on my blog, which has over 4 million page views. It's a very popular blog in New Jersey. But I'm not sure if I'm as popular as Mayor Paul Kanitra of Point Pleasant Beach. Paul, I've been doing some investigation on you, Paul, and you've got your own lobbying firm. You're politically involved. You're the mayor of this sort of, it seems to me like a sort of très chic a beach town in Ocean County, a heavily Republican county in New Jersey, which is a bit of an outlier. It seems like you've been all over the world. Apparently, you've had extensive travels. You were to Ukraine. I mean, what is it about you, Paul? Are you some kind of overachiever or what?
No, I just I can't sit still, right? My wife and I were talking tonight how we didn't have really any plans for the next month or two, and that alone got me thinking about, okay, what can I fill the calendar with? I definitely don't believe in leading an ordinary life. I'm always trying to do something crazy or entertain myself or others as best as I can. I was raised in a way where, you have to try and give back. So that's always on my mind as well. And in the hyper politicized world we're in right now, and the crazy world that we're in right now, there's definitely a lot of opportunities to speak up. And I'm not a wilting flower by any stretch of the imagination. When I have a strong opinion, I make sure that I express it, and then I can sleep a lot better at night.
Well, I think that the fact that you said you didn't have many things on your calendar right now is very, very unusual for you, and that's probably why I was able to get you for this interview. And you just got married recently?
I did, and I'm still at the stage where 50% of the time I forget my wedding band on my finger because I take it off when I do my hair and when I get ready, and then I leave it on the hutch in the bedroom a lot of times. So I'm still getting used to it, but married life is good. I got to get working on the kid front and all that kind of stuff too, and uh,
And,
you
and, and, and you had an unusual wedding. You got married in like some kind of ice palace or something in Canada. What the hell was that all about, Paul? I mean, you come from a beach town and you got married in an ice palace or something.
I will say for pretty much all our vacations, we do go to the beach. We love the water. I'm going to put the blame for this one on my wife, Alora. She is obsessed with these Hallmark movies. They're very formulaic. They're very romantic, for women. And two of them were filmed at this ice hotel in Quebec City, Canada. I didn't want to get married in New Jersey because when we started working on the list, it was going to be 300 or 400 people long, and that just seemed entirely intimidating to me. So I said, we get married anywhere but New Jersey. She chose Quebec City. It was negative 26 degrees when we got married. And we had a cast of characters from New Jersey and across the country come up and spend time with us. Mayor Meyer from Stafford came up. Some of our council members from Point Pleasant Beach came up. A former mayor, a whole bunch of good friends, and
And my friend Brian Fitzherbert was there.
yep. And I was just about to get into your good friend Brian. I know that you and him talk a lot, and Brian actually made the drive. Was what I was going to talk about. 9 hours each way, crossed the border. Transported some important stuff. He was a trooper, and grateful to have a good friend like him along for the
Isn't
ride.
Brian a great guy?
He is. He is.
And this is another bright, shining political star in New Jersey, and also a star uh, from the Shore area. And
He's got a
and
big
the
event. He's got a
Republican
big
Party.
event. He does that women, Republican
Yeah,
women in politics event. He's got that coming up this week. Actually, he's always
yes,
got something going.
he's chair of the Young Republicans down
Yep.
there in Atlantic County, and it seems like if you look at the map of New Jersey, Paul, um, it starts red along the bottom southern portion of the state, all along the bottom southern portion, sort of from Gloucester County on down.
Yep.
You got Gloucester, Cumberland, Cape May, Atlantic, and then it comes up the coast, okay, through Ocean County, red, 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 and then it sort of zigzags across the other part of New Jersey up into the northwestern part of New Jersey. So it sort of makes an S through New Jersey of these red counties.
Yep.
But New Jersey remains a very blue state. And this is why a young person such as yourself, rising in the Republican Party, defining, I feel, Paul, that you and others like you, like Brian and other young Republicans, are defining not just the future of the Republican Party, but the future of New Jersey, I hope.
Well,
What do
that's
you say
that's
to that?
great to hear. That's great to hear that you feel that way. And look, the Republican Party does need a bit of a shift, right? I mean, and it already has undertaken one in terms of how it actually operates, right? I mean, the Republican Party is now all of a sudden, as it should be, the party of hardworking, blue collar families like the one that I grew up in. Law abiding, rule following people that are trying to do the right thing and just want a fair playing field. And that's a stark contrast to you go back some decades, and people thought of it as corporate elites, and the elites certainly seem to be on the other side right now, don't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the Republican Party increasingly has become a sort of populist party and a party of working people,
Yep.
attracting a lot of working people. And we can thank Donald Trump for a lot of that. And in fact, one person said, when I've been publicizing this interview, they said online, well, I want to know, is he a Trump Republican or what? What's the story with Paul Kanitra? So I don't know if you want to answer that, Paul.
Look, I am a conservative Republican. I was raised by old Italian grandparents, so I am a basically a 90-year-old in a 43-year-old body. I'm a Republican because I view the world in right and wrong, and a lot of black and white, not too much of a gray area as well. And the one thing that I think I bring to the table that may be different than some is I understand how much people dislike politicians in general, right?
Mhm.
I've seen surveys out there, and basically politicians are last on the list in terms of most trusted, in terms of what people aspire to be, and that's a sad thing, right? Considering that politicians have the most important decisions, in many people's lives at the local, county, state, federal level. It's scary that people have such a negative perception about them. Republicans haven't helped themselves a ton in terms of empathy, right? I think Democrats have done a very, very good job of, pulling on emotional heartstrings. And, there's a lot of Republicans out there that have good hearts too and want to do the right thing. And I think the more that Republicans can show that empathy, the more that we're going to continue to find traction and find success in the future. And you see that with campaign donations, right? Democrats are able to go on their fundraising platforms, raise all their money through $5 and $10 increments and donations, and that speaks to, I think sometimes how they're portrayed. Republicans need to continue that evolution. That's got to be the future for us, because we need to find more numbers somewhere, right, for future
Yeah.
elections.
So you would say that in 2024, if the Republicans nominate a good conservative Republican, you're going to support that person for president,
Of course, 100%.
whoever that may be.
If that's Donald Trump, if that's Ron DeSantis, if that's somebody that I think is out there, extolling the virtues that I believe in, and trying to
Right.
get the right thing done. Look, a lot of people are not perfect, right? I mean, and I think when we view the world through a certain lens that everybody either has to be perfect or not, that gets you in a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And politicians are like everybody else. They're just as flawed in terms of being human beings as everybody else. As long as we get a Republican that I think wants to do the right thing and wants to carry on the virtues of the party, I think we'll be in good shape.
That you seem to be also, as the mayor of a small town, you really are tuned to this idea. And I noticed this also with our I'm sure he's your friend too, my friend Jesse Kurtz from Atlantic City, who's
Another great guy.
here.
Another
Yeah,
great guy.
yeah. You seem to have the same ethos, the same ethic as Jesse Kurtz, which is be responsive to the people, stay close to the neighborhoods and the people. It doesn't matter whether people are Republicans or Democrats or independents or what they are. Help them, respond to them with their concerns and their needs, and be available and accessible to them. And above all, and this is something that strikes me about you, Paul, be real, be authentic, be yourself.
I couldn't say it any better, to be honest, Dan. Look, Jesse is another great example, just like Brian. I think Jesse's district is 3-1 Democrat, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And the guy wins his elections by solid margins, purely due to hard work and having the pulse of his community, right?
Mhm.
Again, going back to why people don't trust politicians is because politicians speak in generalities most of the time. Trust me, it's going to be great. Don't worry, we've got it under control. All these cliched things
Mhm.
that don't really have any meaning behind it, and they're total fluff. And at the end of the day, the thing that you can't fake is hard work. You can't fake hard work. You can't fake facts. And when you got somebody like Jesse out there who is forging real relationships with people and then governing accordingly,
Mhm.
that's what Republicans need to be, right? They need to be out there. They need to be doing the
Right.
shoe leather lobbying of the
Right.
constituents, and earning their trust that way. And quite frankly, I would love to see Jesse's a great example. You look at a city like Atlantic City, and you had Don Guardian win down there as well.
Mhm.
Um, Republicans need to be putting more resources into the cities. We need to be opening up offices, not just in election years, but having
Mhm.
offices all year round in the
Mhm.
cities across New Jersey, because
Right.
the Democrats have failed people in these cities. And look, when I'm dealing with issues here in Point Pleasant Beach, like the massive increased prevalence of stolen vehicles and attempted stolen vehicles, or I'm dealing with these pop-up parties in Point Pleasant Beach, and people are coming from the cities sometimes and causing trouble, in the boardwalk areas. The people that live in those cities, majority Democrats, have to deal with that too. And nobody should have to live in a place where they feel unsafe. And it's unsafe because of the policies that Democrats are implementing. If there was actual messaging and people that could build trust in the city communities, I think we'd finally make some inroads and start, turning numbers in our direction, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I wanted just to shift a little bit and ask you about this rally that you had there at Point Pleasant Beach over the weekend. Now, we've had how many dead whales wash ashore? What is it, something like 9 or 10 now?
We've had
Um,
10 now, three dead porpoises, dolphins that washed ashore. And I've heard that there were two floating bodies out there that haven't come ashore yet. And, again, it's another issue where there's a lot of hypocrisy there. It's politicians and money, which is always a poor combination. And you look out at a sea of concerned residents and individuals that came to the rally, equal parts Republican, Democrat, Independent, and they were all equally ticked off too. Um,
you weren't just
clearly,
conservatives. I mean, you had a lot of liberal, progressive people there who are environmentalists. And so, what is it, Paul? Do you think it's that uh, the uh, the tests that they're doing for these windmills? One theory is that the tests that they're doing for all these windmills that Murphy wants to put off the Jersey shoreline, which, as I understand it, you'll be able to see them from the beach.
yep, yep.
Um, that the testing for it is upsetting the sound waves, the sonar for the whales. I'm not very scientific. I'm explaining as best I can, and disorienting them so that they don't know where th're going or where they're doing. Do you think that's maybe happening?
I genuinely do, and I've done a lot of independent research on this. I called the Marine Mammal Stranding Center. I called the Bureau of Ocean Management and spoke to the chief environmentalist there. The facts seem to bear it out. when you see the ships that are out there, and you can easily go on some of these websites and track the logs of some of these ships, like the Emma McCall and others that are out there doing the sonar testing, the vibro coring, all these disruptive techniques to check where they can put these poles in. When they pass a certain area, a few days later, you get a whale that washes up along shore. And the boats have been going up and down the coastline. And when you see the distribution of the dead whales, they're up and down the coastline as well. And the most damning thing is that they actually are submitting charts with these wind projects that talk about harassment, level A and level B. And some of the harassment, thousands of individual marine life, different species
Not
are
just
all.
whales, not just whales.
Yep.
And we talk
Oh
about
yeah,
porpoises, we're talking about dolphins. Go ahead.
seals, everything you can think of. And they already are anticipating them, losing breeding grounds and changing feeding habits and having difficulty breathing, as in some of these documents. And then there's other numbers that show that they anticipate that there'll be deaths as well. But that doesn't matter when there's $1 billion or multiple billions of dollars at stake, does it?
And now they're saying, well, this whale was hit by a boat or a commercial vessel or got trapped in netting or whatever.
Well,
So,
look, it's easy to say that because that likely may have been what ultimately happened at the end. But the question is, why did that happen?
uh-huh,
And whales are swimming at night. They're able to navigate around ships. They've been able to navigate around ships since ships were invented.
uh-huh.
Um, and their ability to echo sonar locate or to use the low frequency noises that the non-toothed whales use to kind of understand their surroundings may have been impaired. But when these bodies are washing ashore, they're decomposed for more than 12 hours. So they can't get into the inner ear. They can't get into the melon structures. They can't get into some of the tubercles, which are the bumps on them, and really assess if they were temporarily or permanently damaged or not. So they
Hmm.
have no idea what they're talking about. And they cannot definitively say that the whales weren't impaired beforehand. And you have to look at the coincidences and you have to look at the charts because they already have it in paperwork that there are going to be deaths. But you look at this paperwork for these projects, and this is why the average citizen, average resident, doesn't care about government that much. It's a 1,000-page document. Who's going to read a 1,000-page document when they use all technical terms? It's very daunting. And that's what the government is hoping, is that they can drown you in paperwork and then you won't pay
Absolutely.
attention.
That's exactly what they did with Obamacare. So
Yep.
they were brazen about it. And they were brazen about it to the point where Nancy Pelosi said, well, we have to pass the package so we can read it. We have to pass the package so we can read it. And they got away with it.
Yep.
And
And then they didn't read it anyway.
right. And you had quite a few people at this rally, Paul.
We had 1,000 people easily
Mm,
1,000 people. We had Congressman Van Drew come up. We had
right.
Congressman Smith come up. We had Assemblyman Scharfenberger, Assemblyman Catalano, Mayor Meyer, Mayor Peterson. It
Mm,
was, and we had environmental groups too, like Clean
right.
Ocean Action. We
Right.
had the recreational and commercial fishing industries.
Wow.
It was a melting pot of different groups from different backgrounds with different focuses, and everybody was equally appalled.
You mentioned Congressman Smith. You were an intern for Smith, were
You
you
really
not?
did do your homework. You do your homework. That's a good journalist right there. I was 19 and again, got raised by Italian grandparents, didn't know anything about politics, didn't have any connections. And I called up the office a couple months before summer, said I lived in the district. I'd love to come in and do an internship. And they took me. And that was kind of how politics started for me.
Well, you strike me as the kind of guy, Paul, who uh, says to himself, if I can think it, if I can dream it, I can do it. And you went out and started your own lobbying firm that has offices in Washington. Tell us about that.
My lobbying firm, I guess, is a lot like me. I'm a bit of a dreamer and a bit of an idealist, and I'm still pretty idealistic even now at 43, but also with a touch of realism thrown in there. And I looked at the lobbying government relations landscape on the federal level, about 13 years ago, and I saw how corrupt it was and how unapproachable it was for the average group, small nonprofit, small association, and how you really couldn't afford to have a voice in politics if you didn't have a ton of money. And it was twofold. It was A, genuinely really wanting to give a voice to the voiceless. And when you come into our office, it says right on the wall in big letters when you come into our office in DC, lobbying for the people. And I truly believe that. But also being a capitalist, I also realized that it was a niche in the market as well, and that there was some money to be made there, right? So again, not everything is always so black and white one way or another, and I'm able to scratch both itches at the same time. And I go down one night a week. I usually leave Wednesday night. I'm in the office Thursday. We have our staff meeting. Come home Thursday night, and I'm sitting here in Point Pleasant Beach in my office the rest of the week.
Wow. I just want to get back to the environmental thing and Governor Murphy's this monstrous energy plan that he has that'll cost billions and billions of dollars. Okay, and the man is. There's two things about him that just I don't know how to describe it. A sort of arrogance and stubbornness. Okay. Combined with a kind of pomposity. He absolutely refuses to budge from this monstrous plan
Right.
that is going to so upend people's lives and cost so much money. And like you say, it's thousands of pages. We don't know whether it's been thought out or not. It's part of some kind of wild-eyed progressive agenda that he has. Well, he's a very ambitious man. Okay. What the hell, Paul?
Well, look, you get these kinds of individuals, you get this level of fanaticism and extremism and out of touch components when you feel safe, right? When people feel safe, and New Jersey is sadly a blue state. It's going in a better direction. Republican registration numbers are up and everything like that, but it hasn't experienced the quick turnaround that Florida has, probably because a lot of Republicans from New Jersey and Florida, New Jersey and New York have moved down to Florida. But the arrogance probably stems from the fact that he feels that that nobody can do anything about it, right? And until we figure out our messaging where we can break through, I mean, the last big elections were very disheartening if you were a Republican, right? I mean,
Right.
considering that you were hoping for this massive red wave,
Right.
and the president was so unpopular.
Right.
And from my perspective, you see what's going on in New Jersey in terms of crime, and in terms of the direction that the state is going
Taxes.
overall. And they won, right? So we've got to figure that out, because until we can prove otherwise, we're up against it.
Now, in Ocean County, where you are, it's heavily Republican. It's very competitive for Republicans. I mean,
That's one way of putting it.
all the contests are in the primary, in the Republican primary. If you want to get elected to office, you have to be slated by the party. You have to be approved by the party. You don't have a party convention there, right, to pick the candidates?
Oh, we do. So it's
you do?
we have a screening committee, and then
Right,
the screening committee makes recommendations, and then
right,
it goes to a floor vote of different permutations depending on what it is on the ballot. You either
right.
have all the county committeemen along with the mayors and the club presidents and everybody else voting, or you have the county council, which is just Republican mayors, Republican councilmen, one representative, and club presidents. So, but either way, it does go to a floor vote usually. But again, it's all political insiders, right?
Yeah. Has the floor vote often gone against the recommendation of the higher ups?
Very rarely, and I'm sure that that's by design, right?
Now, you were attempting to be slated, you were interviewed and you were attempting to be slated for a run for the assembly. Because,
Yep,
folks, I mean, come on.
yep.
This is a young, intelligent, dedicated public servant. He wants to move up, okay?
Come on,
That's it.
Dan. That doesn't matter in politics, right? That doesn't matter. It's not the most qualified person for the office. We all know that. We all know that.
So what happened, Paul?
Look, it's politics, right? Starting at the local level, going all the way up to the federal level, it's corrupted, right? I mean, it's all about campaign contributions and what professionals are laying money out where, and how that can benefit different people. And then, the individuals that can benefit the higher ups the most usually get the positions, and that's why most people are disenfranchised by politics, right? So, the only people that usually can go and challenge that status quo have to be independently wealthy, right? Which is why you get somebody like a Donald Trump who can jump in there. Or you go all the way back to Ross Perot, and he had a fleeting moment, but it boxes out people that are regular everyday citizens, regular everyday up
Right,
and comers, and
right.
it makes things difficult for them. And that's probably also why you disproportionately have a much older demographic
Yeah,
in heavily party
yeah,
controlled politics too,
yeah.
because there isn't value in, picking a young up and comer. And young up and comer is even crazy too. I'm 43 years old. Ron DeSantis is 44 years old. In Ocean County, I'm looked at like I might as well be 17. I might as well be 17 years old in Ocean County, right? I'm the same age as DeSantis, and everybody says he should run for president. But in Ocean County, it's like, wait your turn, kid. Maybe in 20, 30 years, you'll get a shot. So
But
um,
but Paul, you don't appear to be 43 years old.
well,
You
thank you, and I
you
appreciate that. And look, I'm
strike
going to go
me.
further because you already got me wound up, and my wife is sitting upstairs right now, probably listening to this, and she hates it when I go off script or anything like that. But we talked about Brian earlier, Brian Fitzherbert. He's been screwed over in the past. We'll talk about Jesse Kurtz. He's been screwed over in the past,
Right.
and it's nice to tell
Yeah.
somebody, hey, you're out there, you're a hard worker, you've done a good job. Oh, you're the future of the party, but just get in line and wait a little bit. So, the
You you
time
you
comes.
you strike me as the kind of guy that still has a youthful joie de vivre, as the French say. I'm not saying it properly French, but you know what I mean. Joie de vivre, um, the youthful spirit. Okay,
I'll take that. I'll take
you
that.
have
Even though
that,
I'm seven,
but
I'm 7 years old, 7 years away from getting AARP benefits and movie discounts. I'll take, I'll take what you're saying. Okay.
now, but yes. Here's my from a lifetime sort of on the fringes of politics. I never ran for office myself and never wanted to, but from on the fringes of politics and observing it and watching it closely and coming up through a political machine, which my father was, uh, which you might call a soldier in the Democrat organization in the city of Camden. He was a foot soldier. So I saw the nitty gritty close up. Here's the deal, and it hasn't changed very much. The people that control the political system, the political parties, the political machines, the political organizations, for the most part, they want people that they can control. They want
Oh,
people that they can
totally.
control.
Of
They
course.
don't want people that are have too much of a mind of their own, or that are going to think too much outside the box that they've created,
You
the
hit the nail on
box
the
that
head.
they've created. They don't want that because it unsettles them. It makes them nervous. Okay. Now they will tell you that they're looking for people who are loyal, but that's a cover. And it's
Right.
basically a code. They're looking for people. that they can control.
You couldn't be any more on target with
Yeah.
what you just said. I feel
Uh,
that way exactly, and you know what? And politics, when you're somebody like me, when you're somebody youngish, we'll say, it's a balancing act, right?
yes.
It's how often can you keep your mouth shut? Because you can't be a firebrand all the time, and you need to know when to be quiet. But it also eventually becomes a calculation, right?
Yes.
And you have to understand when your moment is. I think the term in politics is you don't want to miss your window, right? um,
No, you don't.
and you want to make sure that you're taking the best chance when you do go all in, because sometimes it's when you're all in, you're either going up or you're going out, right? and
Oh,
and
yeah.
that's you only get so many shots, and then you become Hirsch Singh and you're running for your condo board and losing that election, and it's all over, right? It
Right.
all falls apart, real quickly. Where does it all go wrong,
You
right?
could become a has-been very, very quickly in politics. Very, very quickly. And that's why they call it showbiz for ugly people, you know? Because just like you could become a has-been in showbiz if you have one flop, okay, people will forget about you. You may have won an Academy Award, but you had a flop, boom,
That's it.
okay. But before we wrap this up, Paul, and I thank you so much for making time for us. You've been in Point Pleasant Beach all your life, save for when you went off to college, and you went all the way to Texas for college. You went to Texas Christian. Um, why did you go there, Paul? Yeah.
Well, so I actually moved away for a fair bit of time.
Okay.
Uh, I went to TCU. It felt like a university that really spoke to me. The type of people that were there were just good people, family values, conservative people. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the city. I love Texas. I follow my Horned Frogs. They're one of my clients for my lobbying firm. Um, but then I also worked on a Native American reservation. Most people don't know that about me. I worked for Washoe, Paiute, and Shoshone tribes out in Nevada,
I saw
and
some of those pictures on your
I,
Facebook page. Yep.
there you go. And it was a great time. It gave me incredible perspective that I carry with me today. And I still have great friends out there that I met during my time out there. And I lived in DC for a long while and worked there, but always wanted to come back home to Point Pleasant Beach. I genuinely believe, you mentioned I travel. I've been to 70 plus different countries, and I believe the Point Pleasant Beach is the greatest town in the world. The combination of everything that we got here, and I was happy to come back here and make a difference in my hometown. And whatever happens from here on out, I'm going to go to my grave and I'm going to know that I put in some really hard work for my residents, for my former school teachers, for the parents of my friends, for kids I went to high school with,
Yeah.
and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of my time here.
You strike me also as a very competitive person too, Paul. Were you always competitive? Did you play sports?
I did, and I could be a poor loser when I was younger. I played basketball and tennis, um, and I've learned to control that urge a little bit. But I'm chomping at the bit right now at some other things, and I don't like to lose. I don't like to be disrespected, and I definitely like to prove people wrong. That's for sure, and whatever it takes sometimes.
You don't mind being underestimated, though, if that means you're going to triumph in the end, huh?
Oh, of course. You look, I mean, it's great for people to sometimes look at you and go, Kanitra is just a small town mayor, and there's nothing wrong with being a small town mayor. And I like that, and I like when people think that I'm politically naive, and it's certainly you don't want to put all your cards on the table at once, do you?
No. And I think, folks, as we bring this to a close, I think Paul Kanitra's got quite a few more cards to play. I hope since one of the games he's playing, one of the many games, he's in a lot of different things, but I hope he'll keep his cards pretty close to his vest. Okay. But everybody, like I say, is on Facebook and Twitter now. I'm going to put it on LinkedIn. It's going to be at dancerucci.com. I'm going to have it on my YouTube channel. Paul is going to share it. His many fans and admirers, I encourage you to share it. Everybody, this is a guy with a lust for life. He's a passionate guy. He's a passionate guy. He's an inquisitive guy. He's interested in a lot of different things. I get the feeling I could talk to you about almost anything, Paul. He's curious, and he's got this sort of youthful spirit that I admire. We should have more public servants like Paul Kanitra.
Dan, that means, look, I cannot, I'm trying to look in my camera. I cannot say this any more honestly than I'm saying right now. We just met, and I feel like you get me more than 95% of people get me. I swear to God, as sure as I'm standing here, that's pretty impressive. That's damn good journalism.
Oh, as an old PR guy, I also wanted to find out who the hell does your PR, because it's pretty damn good.
I write my own press releases. I write my own speeches. I run my own campaigns. Let me tell you, when I go for something, it's me with the charts. It's me with the graphs. It's me with the opposition research. It's a team of one. And then I'd have to say my wife certainly helps out quite a bit.
I'm glad you remembered your wife, and I saw you were wearing your wedding band too. You didn't forget your wedding band.
I got it today.
And there you go. And I wish you and your wife all of the best. Okay, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope there are little Kanitras running around real soon.
Well, this was so much fun, Dan. I gotta tell you, this was a lot of fun. Hopefully, I'll see you again soon. Are you gonna be at the Leadership Summit coming up?
I will be there. I will be there.
All right. Well, we're hosting Friday night of the Leadership Summit. Jesse Kurtz, Andrew Kern, Matt Mensch, and I, and then a whole bunch of others are co-hosting. We're hosting the after party as soon as the keynote speaker's done. You'll see signs for it. Drinks are on us. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
right.
I'm there. Absolutely. Some of my favorite people. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Paul. We're going to bring this broadcast to a close. And thank you once again.